Hi guys, welcome back to day 6 of Inktober. Yes, day 6. We did skeletons, mummies, forgot what I did for day 3. Let me remind myself. Frankenstein's monster. How could I forget that one? Headless horseman and our swamp monster tour bus friend. So we are now on day 6 and that is werewolves. I have been really excited for this one, not so much because of the art, but because of the concept. I think it's really funny. This is my thumbnail for the piece, and this is a little werewolf family that has gone camping in the deep dark woods. They've got their little tent over here. All of this is gonna be blacked out except for the full moon, of course. And they hear a noise in the woods and they are frightened. Even though they are usually the monsters in the scary stories, they are the ones being scared in this picture. So, I'm also very excited for this one because I am viewing it as another chance at redemption for making my characters just a little bit bigger. I mean, like even in the thumbnail here, you can see how tiny they are. I've drawn like little arrows to remind myself to spread them out a bit and make them bigger. And I think actually what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put this tent more in the background so that the werewolves kind of overlap it. But I need to make these characters way bigger than they've been coming out. Something else with this one that I'm excited about is it's going to be very, very dark. I think I'm gonna have to break out my black brush for this one, which I have not used yet. It's brand new. I've only been using my gray brushes so far, but I think the trees in the background are going to have to be black silhouetted against the night sky, which will probably be in that dark gray color. And hopefully there won't be a lot of light gray in this one, so I can sort of even out the ink levels on my light gray and dark gray pens. Well, without further ado, let's hop into this one. I washed my hands for this one, so I'm going back to my little palm protector card to hopefully not get as much graphite on my hands. And I want to start by drawing in the basic shapes of this piece. Obviously, we've got the 2 trees to the side that are going to be framing the whole thing. We've got the campground, which I'm going to represent by just drawing a little half arch. Got our campfire in the middle, which I'm gonna make pretty big. It's gonna be pretty big to remind me to make the characters sitting around it even bigger. And then what I kind of want to do is I kind of want to make the tree line at least, follow this little arc at the top. So it kind of looks like we're in a really, really big open space. And the full moon is gonna be right about here. I don't want it dipping under the tree line, but I also don't want it touching the top of the page either. This is kind of a new way for me to lay out my pieces, so I kind of hope it works for me. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna bring the campfire down just slightly. That way I don't have this big space at the bottom. Although, oh, I forgot to draw these bushes in. I have these little bushes kind of surrounding the camp, so maybe that can fill in the bottom and the campfire can go back where it was. Yeah, I want these little bushes here because it does kind of give us the illusion of peeking in on these wolves and being kind of like We're the Unseen monster in this piece. I like that. I think it's fun. We've got the log that the 2 wolves are sitting on. Go right there. Make it bigger, make it bigger. My whole goal for this piece is to get the characters so much bigger than I have been making them. And then put the tent a little further into the background. Doesn't matter if they're overlapping. They are. And then we've got bushes in the back as well to kind of frame the piece. Here we go. And then the wolves are going to be one here, and one here. Now, even though I want to make the characters bigger in this piece because I've been making them too small in the other pieces, I also do want to keep them small because for the composition of this piece, I really wanted it to be like a big spooky forest scene, and the wolves themselves are kind of like trapped and scared in the middle of the forest. So I did want them to appear a little bit smaller than like the usual big hulking werewolf figure. I'm just trying to get them the size that I want them instead of accidentally making them too small, which is what I've been doing in the past couple pieces. I think the Headless Horseman and the swamp monster suffered the most from that. The skeletons I think are perfect. Ironically, it's the first piece I did and it's the piece I probably made the least amount of mistakes on. Probably because I was just being so careful with it. Hadn't done traditional in such a long time. See, now part of me is kind of thinking I might have made them too big. All right. I know when I've been defeated. Make them a little smaller than that. This one needs to be hunched over a little more because he's roasting marshmallows. And then I'm gonna draw them as human figures at first and then just kind of give them wolf features later because I'm definitely more used to drawing humanoid armatures than animal armatures. So I just want to make sure I have all the proportions correct, and then I will go in and give them the ears and the tails and the noses and whatnot. This one's gonna be a little taller because I want him to be a bit more perked up. He's eating a s'more, which if I can, I want to make that s'more like really drippy and gooey. Try and portray that as much as possible. God, I want to go camping. Last time I went camping was like this luxury glamping trip in 2021. It was for a friend's bridal party, and I know that glamping, like we were in our own little like structurally sound cabins with heated beds, and it's not. This is camping. That was glamping, but I did have a lot of fun and I want to go again. This guy's sitting on the ground. All right, we kind of got the structure of these guys all mapped out. Put tails on the ones that have them visible, and everybody gets the little ears. Now, I am not great at drawing furry characters, but these are going to be a little more cartoony anyway, so I think they'll turn out okay, but I will try my best. I feel like I might need to make the tent a little bigger. These bushes need to be covering a bit more room because I did leave a bit too empty of a space down here. Campfire is going to be one of those classic, just a ring of rocks with some sticks in the middle. There we go. Alrighty, I think you know the drill by now. I'm going to switch off the face cam and just do some refining of the sketches, and I will meet you back here for the inking portion of this, okay? Be right back. Alrighty, we are back with the finished sketch here, and I'm actually quite pleased with it. I think this is the first sketch in a long time that has come out with the characters being the exact size that I think they should be. My only gripe is I wish I had brought the characters down ever so slightly. I was probably right in the beginning to move the composition down, and I double guessed myself because I thought these bushes would cover it, but they seem to be more of a band-aid than anything else. It doesn't look like it's doing anything really good for the composition. But we're here now. I'm not redrawing the characters. We got to get a move on this. So I do believe it's time for inking. I left the trees in the background kind of abstract because I know at the very least the ones in the far background, these kind of like lumpy ones back here, those are going to be pure black, no detail to them whatsoever. So I'm not really concerned with putting a lot of detail into them. In opposition to that, I tried to put a lot of detail into the trees that are right next to the camera. These are supposed to be fir trees, and I know fir trees have those like draping, like spooky arm-like branches. So I put those in there. I think everything in the front here is going to be done in the dark gray micron. And that's just because this is going to be a really dark piece, like visually. I think the only time I'm going to use the light gray microns is in the shading, which I think is good because the last piece I did, the Swamp Monsters piece, that one was almost exclusively light gray. So I think it's good to switch back to the dark gray and kind of even things out a little bit. So I'm going to start with inking my characters here. We're going in with black again, as always. I really like how these characters turned out. This is definitely a lot of messy sketch lines on this piece, but I think these werewolf characters are absolutely adorable. This one in the front is kind of giving me a little bit of Zootopia vibes, but you know what? Just gonna have to roll with it. I did try to stay like as cartoony as possible because I've been doing pretty cartoony so far, especially with like Frankenstein and the skeletons. It's kind of hard to tell on the Headless Horseman, but with the Swamp Monsters as well. None of them are in my usual style. They're all very, very heavily stylized, very cartoonish. So I wanted to keep that trend going with our little wolf buddies here. I put these little dog eyebrows on two of them, and I kind of think I'm gonna wait until I start coloring things in with the gray microns to color those. I just don't want them to be too stark with the black microns. I want them to look more like facial markings than actual eyebrows. Also, I had a commenter a while ago by the time you guys watched this video. This is sitting high again. Why do I keep doing that? I think I'm slouching, to be honest. A while ago by the time you guys watched the video, but for me, I just saw it like yesterday. A commenter said that a way to reduce the rippling in the paper is to tape the corners first, which I'm not sure if you can see here, but I did actually tape the corners down first, and then I taped the edges again just so I could get those margins. It seems to not have had much of an effect, but I want to check again by the time this piece is finished. I can definitely see how it's supposed to be more helpful, and I think I just need to try it again. But yeah, hopefully that will help a bit with the rippling problem. 'Cause I'll tell you, that's been one of the most annoying parts of Inktober this year, is trying to manage with the paper ripples. Kind of dressed them all in the same thing here, which is fine. I was going for something just like outdoorsman vibes. I did the ripped pants because I think that's very werewolf. It's very like Halloween-y, which I really like. But then other than that, it's just like a shirt and jeans. I did try to vary the shirt a little bit. This guy has a sweater, this guy has a flannel, and this guy has what appears to be a polo, I guess. It's like a short sleeve shirt with a collar. But I realized halfway through the sketch that I was giving them all the same clothing, and I was like, ooh, I gotta do something about that. And then I don't know if you guys noticed on the last Inktober video, but I did not manage to shorten it down by that much. I think the shortest one right now is the Headless Horseman, which I think came in at right around 30 minutes. The Swamp Monster one I believe was 39 minutes, so almost 40. So I think at this point I'm going to shut up and just speed through the inking process of these 3 wolves, and I'll go ahead and meet you back here when it comes time for the background work, okay? See you in a bit. All right, I've finished inking in our Wolfie boys here. I don't know if you can see very well on the camera, but I actually switched to the light gray for the campfire to hopefully portray a little bit of light. And here, I'll erase it a little bit to kind of show you what I've done. All right, so what I attempted to do with the fire, and I think it's working pretty well right now, is I took the light gray and everything that is behind the fire, I went ahead and outlined with the light gray instead of with the black like I was doing for the rest of the piece. And I kind of think it gives the effect pretty convincingly of the fire being light. Like, I'm super happy with that. I really love how that turned out. But we got our wolves done. I want to switch to the dark gray real quick and start working on the foreground. I think the foreground is going to be mainly shaded and colored with the dark gray. And I'm going to outline it with the dark gray as well, so that hopefully we get like a nice blurred forced perspective effect. I always have to double check with this pen. As soon as I start drawing, I double check that it's the light gray. Because even though the dark gray and the light gray are pretty distinctively different, the dark gray and the black kind of look really similar. So I always scare myself, and I always double check that I have the dark gray. Just doing the little details on the fir trees here. There we go. And then I'm gonna use the same technique on the trees that I did in the Headless Horseman piece, where I used the streakiness of the gray brush as kind of like texture and detail for the trees. I'm actually really excited to do that again because I loved how it turned out on the Headless Horseman piece. Another reason I wanted to do these kind of like creepy furry details on the fir trees is that because they kind of look like hands to me. They kind of look like creepy hands kind of reaching out. And I want this piece to have a little bit of a spooky feel to it, because obviously the werewolves are spooked about something that they heard. Here we go. And then we'll just do the bushes here. And for the bushes, again, this piece is going to have a lot in common with the horseman piece. Mainly just because of the nature background, but I'm planning on doing the same thing with the bushes that I did in that piece, where I kind of shaded it to look like there were leaves on the bush. But yeah, starting with this like really, really fluffy outline, and then I'm gonna shade it. And then once the shading comes in, it'll look a lot more, not realistic, but detailed. This middle one here as well. I've been doing a little bit of digital art in between this, like if I'm waiting for one of these videos to export or upload to YouTube, you know, I'm sitting on my computer anyway, I might as well just pull up my art program and doodle a little. So I am hoping that by the time Inktober is over, I'll have a little bit of a backlog in terms of content that needs to be posted, and I can take a little bit of a break. I heard someone say recently that Inktober is just like the burnout challenge, which I absolutely get, especially if you're doing daily Inktober. I did daily Inktober, I think, once, and it was rough. I do not recommend to anybody, especially newer artists who don't know their like artistic stamina yet. Do not do the daily Inktober. Unless you either pre-draw your art, which I have no problem with. I think the spirit of Inktober is more about creating and sharing art. I think it's really damaging if people police whether or not that art needs to be done in the span of 1 month. So I say if you're gonna do daily Inktober, pre-draw your art so that you give yourself plenty of time to rest and relax between pieces. Or make sure you're doing something really, really small and within your artistic stamina. That's my 2 cents on the matter. Now, I will also say, while we're on this topic, drawing daily is unbelievably helpful in terms of artistic improvement. I used to run a Tumblr blog called 365 Doodles, and I use that blog kind of as the name suggests to post a doodle every single day for 365 days a year. My definition of doodle was a mark on a paper, and sometimes I was so exhausted and just didn't feel like drawing that I would draw a smiley face and I would upload that smiley face. And there were also times where I missed uploading for whatever reason. Either I just forgot to upload or I was late on the drawing, and I would do like mass posts. And sometimes in those mass posts were doodles that I had drawn in the same day. So I would post for like March 6th, 7th, and 8th, but in reality I had done 3 doodles on March 8th. But either way, the goal of the blog when I had started out was to have the post count read 365 by the end of the year that I started, and I achieved that goal. I cheated it a little, I will admit. However, I have never, ever had faster improvement in my art than the year that I was running that blog. Even just posting like a little doodled heart when I didn't feel like drawing anything. It kept me in the spirit of wanting to learn and wanting to practice. So I do suggest drawing as much as you can, as often as you can, because it does genuinely improve your art at a rapid pace. But please, dear God, be careful of burnout. I've experienced burnout so many times in my life, especially in the past couple years that I've been running this YouTube channel. Or I guess it's only been a year. I started posting November of last year, I think, because I tried to post a video every day for Hughvember. There I go again, posting every day. Anyway, this whole rant is to say that while constant and consistent artistic practice is extremely beneficial, burnout is not your friend, my friends. Burnout is the worst enemy you can encounter when it comes to your artistic career. So know your limits, participate in monthly goals and challenges if you want to, but also know that it's not that big of a deal if you maybe take a day off. Your mental health and your love for art is more important than your content. That's a concept that I'll admit I struggle with a lot. But the last thing I want to do is influence young and aspiring artists to make the same mistakes that I've made. All right, well, with that out of the way, the foreground is finished, at least the outline of it is. I think I'm gonna go in and color in the tent and these back bushes back here with the same gray. I'm not entirely sure yet if I want to do any of these trees in the background with the dark gray. I know the like back trees are going to be black, pure black. And currently I want the sky to be dark gray. So I might just do all the trees in the background with black. I don't know yet. I'm gonna speed through the midground, the tent and the bushes back here, and I'll meet you back here for the background, okay? See you in a bit. I realized something while I was doing the midground there, and that's that this tent should have probably been done in black because it's on the same level as these guys right here. The log actually goes behind the tent, and yet it's still outlined in black. So might have been a mistake on my part, but I do really want the tent to kind of be in the background there. Speaking of which, I also wanted to do, that I forgot about, some hash shading. What's this called again? Cross shading. God. Hatching. Some hatch shading. I almost had it right the first time. And I've done this a lot on this piece already, just like a lot of this hatch shading, and that's because I want the lighting on this piece to feel very, very intense. It's the whole woods is dark, the only light source is coming from the campfire, so I did all this hatch shading all along the sides of the werewolves, and now I want to do it along the side of the tent here. And then the inside of the tent, I'm gonna color this in with the dark gray brush pen because I want that to be completely obscured in there. Let's just finish up this hatch shading on the side and then we'll move on to the background. Time for this background. The more I think about it, the more I kind of want the initial trees, so I've got it kind of separated into two groups here. There are the like spiky closer trees, and I kind of want those to be in the dark gray color. Hi guys, welcome back. So I've been waiting for this to happen since I started this series, and I'm actually really surprised that it took me so long to make this mistake, but that last little bit of footage, turns out the camera wasn't recording, so I didn't do a whole lot before I realized. I just did the outlines of these trees here, so I'm gonna go ahead and finish that up. We're gonna do the entire background, moon and everything. I'm gonna erase all the pencil marks, and then I will be back here to start the shading. So I'll be right back with that for you. Okay, I've finished the background. I erased all the sketch lines, and now I'm gonna go in and outline the characters as we always do, but I wanted to turn the camera back on and kind of chat with you guys a little bit. So I did something that I have not done before, and that is I went in and anywhere that the trees are touching the foreground and midground, I actually outlined that with a black outline, even though the foreground and midground were done in gray. And the reason for that is because I have an idea on how to color the trees. What I want to do is I want to try and make a bit of a gradient from the dark gray to the black. So the tops of the trees will be gray and the bottoms of the trees will be black. The ones in the far background, they're just kind of like triangle points that don't really look like anything. I think those are still gonna remain pure black because I still want them to look really silhouetted against the sky. But the trees that are a little closer to the foreground and midground, those ones I want to attempt this gradient on because I think it'll help sort of blend the midground and the background together, make them look a little more connected. So that's why I did that outline between the background and the midground, because I wanted to give it a little bit of a barrier before I go in with the black micron brush. So I'm just gonna finish up the outline on these guys, and then I'll go ahead and start in on the coloring. Yeah, alrighty, now that that outline's done, time to break out the brushes. I think I've said this before, but this is very quickly becoming my favorite part of Inktober every time, is pulling out the brushes because I know it's gonna just start coming together. All right, so first things first, I want to start going over the trees because I want to make sure that this technique works before I start going over the rest of the piece. Really for no reason other than I'm just excited to start doing it. So we're gonna start with the trees first. I'm gonna do the same technique that I did on the Headless Horseman piece, except this time when I get to the bottom, I'm gonna go over it again with the black brush pen. So I'm gonna do that real quick. I'll speed through it so you guys don't have to sit through the whole thing, and I'll meet you back here. Bye. trees are not done yet. I do still plan to do the black brush on the bottom to get a little bit more of that dimension. However, this pen is juicy. I don't know if you can see over here, but everything on this corner, I went from left to right, everything in this corner is still wet. So I'm actually gonna give that a chance to dry and start working on some of the other aspects of this piece. Something I was thinking about, I don't know if I want these two trees to be that same dark gray color, because I don't want it to completely blend in with the trees in the background. What I'm kind of thinking of doing is outlining them, not outlining, but like carefully shading them with the light gray color, and then as we get deeper into the trees, using actually the dark gray color, and so that way it also kind of reflects the light from the campfire as well. I think I might just do that actually. But while I'm waiting for those to dry, since the trees do connect with that and I don't want to risk smudging it at all, I'm actually going to start working on things like the tent, the bushes, the log, throw some shading in around the campfire so that it looks like it's an actual light source. And nothing new here, using pretty much the same techniques that I did for the horseman piece. Just gonna go in and just start carefully shading parts in here. And I'm actually using the dark gray instead of the light gray because I do want this to be an extremely dark piece. I kind of want everything in the background to look homogeneous. And I'm kind of thinking I might just shade with the dark gray and then go in with the light gray and do like a second layer of shading. I think I might do that actually. Let me just shade this bush in and I'll kind of use it as an example. Yeah, if I've got the bottom part of it shaded like so, I can take the light gray, which I have not used yet on this piece, and I can just kind of continue that shading upwards a little bit. I'm gonna leave a small strip of white just along the edges. But yeah, I think doing that actually works great. It kind of looks like it's reflecting the moonlight while still being very much in shadow. So I think I'm gonna do that for the bushes in the background. Maybe for the bushes in the foreground, I'll be a little lighter on the dark gray pen, but we'll see. I think for this next speed through, I'm going to do the bushes and these two trees in the foreground, and maybe the tent as well, and then I'll come back and work on the wolves. All right, see you in a bit. All right, we've got the background all completed. I think I am actually gonna go in with these foreground trees and outline them again in black this time. And that is because I can't see the outline at all anymore. I want those to be just a little bit more visible. So I'm gonna do that real quick. I'll tell you one thing, this paper is really going through it right now. There is a lot of ink on this page. I'm trying to let it dry as much as possible before moving on to the next thing. But I can definitely feel how soaked it is. I'm actually gonna do these outlines really rough. Just kind of let them be a little fuzzy and out of focus. All right, there we go. I think that actually made a huge difference. So now it's time for the wolves. I don't have much coloring that I want to do with these guys. Kind of just want to get the jeans colored more than anything, and then maybe do that plaid pattern that I've been loving so much on one of the shirts. I think this guy. But other than that, I think it's just going to mostly be shading because because they're the only light figures in this piece so far. Everything else is very, very dark, and I don't want to risk taking that away. I want them to remain kind of light and in focus compared to the rest of the piece. So I'm just coloring in the pants to kind of give it a little bit of dimension, separate the shirt from the rest of the body. And then I think I'll give this guy some plaid. I gotta stop doing this shirt pattern, honestly, because I've done it on 2 pieces so far, and this is gonna be the 3rd one. It just works so well. I sort of thought about at the beginning of this piece, messing around with giving them like some dog patterns. Actually, something I do want to do is put their eyebrows back because those were really fun. But other than that, I think I'm just going to leave the wolf parts of them pretty much plain. Yeah, and then just sort of do some shading wherever it's necessary. Obviously, everything furthest away from the fire is going to get shaded because the fire is that main light source. I keep looking up at that sky and I am dreading it because I know I'm going to have to do the sky in the dark gray color. That's for sure. That's the only way to get the trees not to completely blend into the sky. But I am nervous because that dark gray is very streaky. I have an idea. Instead of just coloring in the sky and hoping for the best, I'm actually going to do kind of a circular pattern around the moon. So it does look like the moon is a bit of a light source, hopefully. But yeah, very nervous about that. All right, we've got our dogs all shaded in here. I'm gonna just color in that s'more of his so you can kind of tell what it is. I need to give these rocks and sticks some color too. I'm gonna do the sticks in the light gray because I wanna set them apart from the flame. I want that flame to look really, really bright. So by coloring everything around it dark, it's hopefully gonna look brighter by comparison. Dark gray to the rocks, and I'm just going to leave a little bit of an outline along the side closest to flame so that you can see it's casting a little bit of light on the rocks. I bought a bunch of Sharpies to color in Kara's coloring book because those are the only alcohol markers I'm familiar with. If you guys are unaware, my good friend Kara came out with a coloring book this month. You should totally go grab it. It's on Amazon right now. And it's an alcohol marker coloring book. I have no experience with alcohol markers. Even these microns I've been told are water-based, but working with the microns in this context kind of makes me feel a little bit more confident when it comes to hopefully working with the alcohol markers. So I'm very, very excited to get working on that. I haven't had any time since getting back from Disneyland to do anything other than a couple little doodles in there, but hopefully I'll be able to do something with that soon. Oh, I gotta color in this log too, actually. I'm gonna do the light gray. I'm just gonna color it all in. There we are. Do a little bit of shading just by going over it again with the same gray. All right, and I think it's time to tackle the sky. Very nervous about this. I'm gonna go ahead and once again speed through it because I know this video is gonna be too long already. But I'm gonna speed through the sky, and I'm also going to attempt to start shading the base of the trees, and I will meet you back here with the finished product. All right, see you in a bit. Alrighty, I told you guys this was going to be a super dark piece, and it absolutely is. My paper is soaked. I cannot wait to see what the margin looks like at the top here, honestly. But that's it. She's all finished. Let's go ahead and start peeling her up. Oh, wow. Look at that contrast. I will say, the corner taping technique did kind of work. I feel as though if I hadn't taped the corners down, my paper would be buckling a lot more by now, especially with how much ink I put into it. And it's remained very minimal. It's relatively flat. Actually, it's extremely flat. So thanks for whoever commented that. I'm definitely going to be doing that from now on. Watch this one. Ooh, that's beautiful. Love it. I'm very happy with this piece. I still think the Headless Horseman might be my favorite so far. For some reason, that one just really resonates with me, but this one's probably a close second. I absolutely love how it turned out. My only gripe is I might have gotten a little bit too much texture in this one, especially with like the trees in the background and the sky sort of curving out around the moon. There's definitely a lot going on, and I feel like it might be drawing your attention away from the main characters just a little bit, but I still absolutely love this piece. I think it's awesome. All right, there she is. That is day 6 of Inktober. We have our lovely little werewolves. Still got some eraser shavings on here. I'm so scared to like actually handle this piece because I'm not exaggerating when I say it is soaking wet. So I'm gonna go ahead and put that one down. If you want to see this piece in full, it is on my Instagram right now, posting the same time that this video does. And I'm also going to be posting a little speed drawing of this piece to both my TikTok and my YouTube shorts, if you want to head over there to go find that. If you want to see a little bit more of me, you can catch me over on Twitch. I go live every Tuesday and Friday. You know what I'm just realizing I forgot to do? I forgot to add any shading to the marshmallows. I really wanted those to have like a nice dark shading on them so that kind of looks like they're being roasted. There we go. I did it. I just put a little shading on the marshmallows. Where was I? Oh, if you want to support me and this channel in the best way possible, you can also find me on Patreon. You can support me there for as little as $1 a month and get exclusive content for as little as $3 a month. And last but not least, make sure you subscribe to this channel so you can find your way back here for the next video. For the month of October, I'm posting every Tuesday and Saturday. And the next Inktober challenge is going to be aliens. I have an awesome idea for this one. I can't wait to get started on it. Hope you guys enjoyed this. Hope you have a wonderful rest of your week, and I will catch you all in the next one. All right? Bye!